Alright, today we're going to be taking a look at my Simplex 4308B fire alarm annunciator panel. Now, from what I've been told, this is a very rare panel, and I can't really find much information, if any, online about it. I'm trying to figure out how to hook it up to my 4001 panel, but I can't really figure that out. They did come from the same building, so they were hooked up at one time, but I still can't figure out how these things go together. Very complicated. I'm trying to figure it out. There's nothing in my manuals about it, so hopefully eventually I'll find something online, or if someone knows anything about these types of annunciators, you can let me know. But let's do a quick video here of the annunciator, show in depth what it looks like inside, what it looks like outside. And the outside is kind of self-explanatory. It's only two switches, an acknowledge and a trouble silence. And there's one trouble indicator. And of course you have your zones. This annunciator is set up to be compatible with 8 zones. The building it came out of only had 2 zones, so the rest of them were inactive anyway. Take a quick look at the panel here. Luckily I do have keys for all these switches. These switches here use a Simplex key marked AH. See if the camera will focus on the key or not. Probably not, but give it a try anyway. It doesn't look like it's going to. But anyway, there's the key. Can't really see the label because it doesn't want to focus. You can kind of make out AH on there. And these are pretty simple. They just go in here and pretty much flip the switches. Other than that, I haven't found any other use for that key. As far as I know, that key only does those switches on this annunciator. Then of course the door lock is the Simplex B key, just like most others, which I fortunately have 2 of. Disconnect power before servicing. I don't think there's any power to it anyway. Alright, now we can go ahead and open this up. I'll take the camera off the tripod here. The tripod out of the way. I don't have a lot of room back here to move around. Okay, let's take a look at the panel. If you look inside the panel here, we see Simplex time recorder. We have 4308B marked right here. Once the camera focuses on it, you can see all of the information written in here. It has a serial number and the date on it, 10/09/1981. So this has definitely been around for a couple days. See the wiring on the back of the doors for all of the zone lights and indicators. These are your 2 switches. Whatever the heck that little box is for. There's nothing on the outside for that little box. Actually, if anything, that box is what keeps the key from moving too far. It's got wires into it. Now what I need to figure out from this annunciator to hook it up, there are, see if I can get my light down here in a bit of a better angle so I don't keep blocking it. At least it tells you what the top is. There we go. This will be much better for lighting. So you can kind of see is we have some wires here that were cut when they took it out of the building. Looks like there's 6 of them in here right now that were cut. Oh, that one wasn't cut. So 5 of them in here that were cut. This one just connects right around from here over to here. And this one connects from here over to here. And then this one comes out and goes somewhere else. They are all labeled, except for, it looks like one of them. This one's labeled 5. This is a 6 on it. That's a 1. That one's not labeled, and that one's not labeled. And I'm assuming that's pretty much where you have to hook it up to. I'm assuming these are probably the zones. These right here, outputs are labeled 1, 2 through 8, and there's only wires to 1 and 2, which would make sense because there are only 2 zones in the building this came out of. There's some labels down here, TB2, TB1, 3 and 4, probably troubles, and R1, R2, 3 and 4. I don't know what those would stand for. They might be resistors or something, which I wouldn't have. Now I do see these, which plug right into here on the ends. I don't know exactly what these do. I mean, it looks like, to me, that they hook up to all of the zone lights. And there's 2 of these, one for the top, one for the bottom, one for each side here. One that goes down here too. And they just plug right in. And they're not even set up to plug into every single slot, only certain ones. That one cable I'd have to push back through, but that can be fixed. I'm just glad to tell you what side's the top. I'm gonna laugh every time I see that. So everything is labeled and everything is set up like if it should be fairly easy to hook up. I just don't know exactly how to do that. You can see it was made in Massachusetts. So it's made in the USA, that's good. I have a manual for the panel, for the 4001 panel, but that manual does not cover this Annunciator by any means. And it's a 4308B. Looks like the ID is 2601-8008. There's not really much else that's labeled. You can see the whole label there. And what I wanted to do was figure out color coding these. If I saw an orange coming out of here, see if there's an orange wire that was cut in the panel, because there were a bunch of wires cut in the panel. If I open up the main panel, I ended up taking the cut wires out for the most part, except for some, because they didn't match any of the colors of the other ones. Here you can see that's where the Annunciator goes, all of the Annunciator plugs. I can tell because it's obviously labeled ANN, which should stand for Annunciator. Looks like there's 4? Looks like there's 4 ANN, 1, 2, 3, and 4. And there's stuff coming out of 1 and 2, which probably makes sense for being zones 1 and 2. So I don't know if I just have to connect those 1 and 2 to the 1 and 2 on the Annunciator inside, or if it's a little more complicated than that. Don't want to connect it and be wrong, because that wouldn't end well, usually. So we'll have to figure that one out when we get there. Funny thing is, I don't have Annunciator trouble. The zones obviously are hooked up. So we're just going to have to figure that one out when I get there, I guess. So if anybody has any information on how to hook up the Annunciator, even if you know how to hook up your own to 4001, it's maybe not be the exact one that I have, let me know. I mean, any information would be helpful. I also don't know where those other cords went to in the building. The big difference is I'm just running a display system. They're running an entire building off of the panels. So they're going to have some extra stuff that I wouldn't necessarily have or need, really. Even all the circuit diagrams don't say anything about the Annunciator. I'll show you this here, though. That's for the panel itself. Pause if you want to look at that. Anyway, that's all I have for this for right now, so if you have any input, let me know. It'd be very helpful. And other than that, Thank you for watching.